Indriya, a part of Aditya Birla Jewellery. And under his leadership, the brand has opened 81 stores across 40 cities in just 2 years. Isn't that a remarkable journey? Okay? 2 years. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Sandeep Kohli to the stage for our Fireside Chat. Make the most of this conversation, guys.
Thank you. You've been very kind with your words. So thank you for the introduction. Yeah.
So I have huge respect for anybody coming from HUL. I think it's the CEO factory. It's known to be the CEO factory with Leena Nair, Gopal Vittal, Leena Nair from Chanel, Gopal Vittal from Airtel. Now you. What do you think? What does HUL do to you?
Firstly, glad to be here, and a warm hello to everybody sitting in this room. I know that some of you are students who will be graduating, some of you are alumni, some of you are from startups. So it's fantastic to be speaking and getting an opportunity to speak to a group like this. So coming to your question, I think I agree with you. Hindustan Unilever or Hindustan Lever Limited, HLL, is when I joined it, as it was called, is a absolutely fantastic company. I've been very fortunate to be able to enter that company as soon as I finished my education. Everybody doesn't get that opportunity. I was fortunate enough to get that. It's a place where you learn to learn. I think that is the environment that is there in that company, that you're always constantly wanting to learn. So you learn to keep learning. And I think that is what makes the people there and the company itself really thrive.
Amazing. Before we move to Indriya completely, there is so much to learn from your journey. You've taken, like, half your HUL life was in India, half was outside India. You've traveled across multiple cultures. That can lead to so many barriers, in terms of language barriers, cultural barriers. What if you could just, give us 3 of your most important learnings through the career, as well as in the last 2 years, since you are in the jewelry industry now?
Actually, it's very interesting to work outside your comfort zone. So I grew up in India. I never ever thought that I would be working outside India. And it was, but life throws things at you. And one of the challenges it threw at me was to travel out of India. My first job outside India was in the Philippines. When I was told that, the first thing I did was, I was looking at the atlas to see कि Philippines है कहाँ पे. Like, of course, people knew where it was and all that, but it was just as a joke. I think the few things that I learned working outside the country, I think the first is you have to, in any country, be your authentic self. You can't change yourself just because the environment around you is changing. So you have to be yourself, and you have to flex your style to adapt to the culture of the country. You have to be proud about your own culture, but not so proud that you try to not understand the good points about the other culture that you are going to and what you can learn from it. So for example, what I learned from my first experience working abroad in the Philippines was actually, you can be happy while working. So Philippines is known as the capital of happiness because everybody is always smiling, singing, and that doesn't mean that they are not hardworking. That doesn't mean they are not intelligent. That doesn't mean that they are not smart, and they can be absolutely great at what they do. Sometimes where I grew up, it was that अगर थोड़ा serious लोगो तो लोगों को लगेगा you are smarter. So I learned that you can actually be smiling at work and you can have a great time. So I didn't have to change who I was, but it was just something to imbibe from them. So I think that is one thing. You asked for 3, so I'm going to give you 3.
I have to ask a lot, but I don't think you want to do that. I can literally, how much research I did, I can literally sit with you for days to learn more.
No. I hope I have that much to give. The second thing was, I think when I started working in London, I went to the head office of Unilever. And it was very, very intimidating. Because it was like when you work for Hindustan Lever, going to the Unilever head office was like you're visiting the temple or the church or whatever of marketing, And I just still remember the first time I entered that building and I said that, how will I ever be able to be confident enough to work here? And I think what my experience there taught me is that there is always something in you where you can add value to whatever you are doing. There is nothing in the world where you have to feel so intimidated or so unconfident about yourself that you cannot add value. There will be something where, because of who you are, because of what your experiences have been, because of what your learnings have been, you'll be able to contribute to wherever you are and whatever you are doing. So that was a good kind of learning for me, and I thought I would share. The third was a very interesting role that I did, and it's a country that was not mentioned. I'm sure all of you have heard of the country called Myanmar, or Burma, earlier it was called. So Myanmar had just opened up in 2004-2005, and I was sent to Myanmar to set up the business there. So Myanmar as a country at that time was, you land in Myanmar, and I was told, Sandeep, when you land, don't keep your bag on the floor of the taxi. And I was wondering, why are people telling me that don't keep your bag on the floor of the taxi? And so I landed, I got into the cab, and I realized, because the taxi had no floor. So it was, like the country was just opening up, so the taxi had a hole, you could see the road below. So of course there was a place to keep your feet. A SIM card at that time in Myanmar, I'm talking about 2004-2005, maybe many of you were not born there. 2004-2005, the SIM card cost $2,500 when I first landed in Myanmar. While I was there, the price of SIM card dropped from, because it was government controlled, the price of SIM card dropped from $2,400 to $1, like a normal price. So Facebook just exploded. At that time there was no Insta, there was Facebook. Just exploded. So it was wonderful being in the country at that time. But the issue was that the education system was such that not many people spoke English well. And I had to go there and set up a company, and I was told by the chairman of Unilever, Sandeep, you come from Hindustan Lever. My dream is that you go to Myanmar and you set up another Hindustan Lever. What a fantastic brief, right? And then I had to try to do it when nobody understood English that well. So using simple language, simple English words was something which was very, very important. So that everybody, as we were hiring people, etc., that people understood our vision, people understood what we wanted to do, where we wanted to go, and all that. Of course, I learned a little bit of Burmese also to be able to communicate simply with them. But it was fantastic. Our dream was that we wanted to make it the largest FMCG company in a very short period of time. I was there for 3 years. By the time I left, we became the #1 FMCG company. In fact, we bought over the largest local company into Unilever at that time. And it continues, that business continues to, despite all the problems that are there in Myanmar, continues to do well. There are many people there whom we had hired, who may not be working for Unilever now, but they are still in touch with me on Facebook, because we became Facebook friends at that time, and they keep messaging me. And it was fantastic just to be able to connect with people using simple words, simple language, was, I think, one learning that I got from there.
So now, I was going to come to this later, but now that you've already touched upon Burma, I just want to go down that route a little bit. So we, as a family, the founder of JK is here, and we have Burmese roots. My father is born in Burma, and something that I when I was reading up, I realized you have used simplicity as a leadership strategy. So something that even when in Burma you mentioned that you had to come up with a culture theme, and you said you want to be number one, grow fast, grow well, grow together. So if you want to touch upon a little bit on that, how do you use simplicity as a leadership strategy, which is, I feel, very essential today because we are stuck with over information. There is too much happening. Everybody has a very little knowledge about everything, no depth. So if you can just delve a little bit on this one.
I must compliment you on you doing your homework. I don't know where you even got that from. So that's right. It was you reminded me. It was grow fast, grow right, grow together. Yeah, something like that. You're true. So very glad to meet you. And so we have a connection because my wife's grandfather, I think, was also used to live in Yangon or Rangoon at some time. So some connection there. So, I feel that you're absolutely right. We live in a world, more and more in a world where things are very cluttered around us. Whether it is the city we live in, whether it is our Instagram or Facebook or WhatsApp, whatever we use, there is so much coming at us, which is then cluttering our mind a lot. And I think it's very important, both from a self-leadership point of view and from people you lead point of view, to bring clarity and simplicity to what you want to achieve. And if that clarity and simplicity you cannot bring for yourself and you cannot bring for your teams, then I think people will be all over the place. And language plays a big role in that, because every word can be understood as different things by different people. So to use simple language with simple thoughts and repeating them again and again is very important. And I feel that simplicity and clarity are important. How do I bring it? I think it first comes from the self. That am I clear about what is it that we want to build? Like, so for example, in Burma, because we were setting up the company and there were lots of companies coming up at that time. We were there, PNG was coming in, etc. So grow fast, that we have to be quick to gain market share was very important. So simply grow fast. And then grow right, because you can grow really fast but you may not have a good business model. So having the right model to do it. And then grow together, because we have to build the company. Everyone should see this, there's a company in which we can grow. So, I think that simplicity of thought, for me first, really helped me, and then I simply expressed it to the team.
Thank you so much. Something I learned, again, while going through your journey, was the aspect of gratitude and resilience. You mentioned these two stories about how you volunteered during the ex-Prime Minister's assassination, and on the other hand, your internship, or when you were a management trainee, you built that resilience because you got to stay in a village. And why am I trying to bring these things up is because somewhere I feel, I said it earlier also, before you came, that so the cohort here is basically, there are jewelry designers, there are professionals, who are looking to work in a company.
Yeah.
Then there are small business owners to mid-scale business owners, whether it's in a B2B platform or B2C. And somewhere we have all got a platform. And now we are looking, the theme of the event is the leap from local to global. So we've got a platform, and now we want to scale this up, make it a brand India rather than make in India. And will they, or all of us, go through that kind of gratitude and resilience that the previous generations have been through? So that is why I'm bringing this up here.
You're asking very serious questions.
This is the last one.
No, so see, I think what happens is as we go through life, all of us want to get to a place which is better than where we are. And why not, right? It's always good to have ambition, because only if you have some ambition will you have the drive to then achieve that. However, what happens is that many times we think that the only way to achieve our ambition is to continue to look up and see what is great out there so that we can get there. But I think the strength to be able to climb up comes from when you look down and you see the distance that you have traveled, or the distance that you have traveled which is much more than what other people have been able to travel. So having the gratitude, or to take a pause and be grateful for saying, yes, this is what I have achieved, and using that as a strength to move forward is something I feel is important. And in that word, gratitude and being grateful, also lies the fact of thanking all the people who have helped you get there. Whenever I have got, as I went through life, you get promoted at work. So as I have got promoted at work, I have a ritual. And my ritual is that on the day of me officially getting my promotion, I always write individual messages to people who have helped me get that promotion. And they could be people who are working in my team, meaning who report to me. They could be seniors, they could be my peer group, but it has to be genuine. So I think being grateful for where you are, to people who brought you there, or to yourself, I think is important. And I think in today's world, resilience is, meaning it's table stakes. Like just in the jewelry industry, we've been there for 2 years only. Only 22 years lesser than Sky Gold, I think. So only 2 years. And what has happened in 2 years in jewelry or in gold or in diamond, there has been, in these 2 years, we've seen customs duty come down and customs duty go up. In these 2 years, we've seen the kind of volatility which has never been seen before. In these 2 years, we've seen gold prices go up by 60%, which has never happened before. In these 2 years, we've had lab-grown diamonds coming in, which had never happened before. In these 2 years, we've got a plethora of different kind of brands and competition coming in, which has never happened before. So for a new company, and the company is basically people. So for all of us who are, signed off, got the business case signed off by Mr. Birla 2 years ago, when the gold rate was 6,450 rupees, if I'm not mistaken, to now, it's crazy, right? So unless we have developed the resilience of not getting overawed by what is getting thrown at us, we wouldn't have gone forward. So for me, resilience is all about, there will always be things which are not in your control. Reacting to that in a same manner is what I call resilience. So I think we have to be resilient.
Thank you. So one thing that I think a lot of people want to hear is that you entered the jewelry industry straight away as a national brand. Like the people here are literally on the opposite side, like local jewelry. Like the Banya Buddhi, using that local business sense, and they are building up. Now, the thinking of these two extremes is so much that for a lot of these people, it's so difficult to even think at a regional level, forget local level. So, what is the kind of mindset that you feel the differences between a local jeweler today, and somewhere what we are also seeing is organized jewelry is really picking up much faster than what it used to be before. So the only way for these people is to become organized. They can't continue unorganized. So what is the kind of mindset required?
Actually, I think the industry terminology is organized and unorganized. And the way industry defines organized and unorganized is that organized are those people who are in multi-city and have got multiple stores in multiple cities. That is organized, the rest is unorganized. Actually, for me, you know, there are 2.5 million outlets in India selling jewelry. 2.5 million. That's huge, right? I think actually most of them are organized, because in jewelry, unless you are organized in your domain, you cannot do the business, because the inventory that you hold is of very, very high value. The relationship that you need to build to be able to sell this high value purchase to somebody, you have to be very, very organized to be able to do it. So as far as I'm concerned, probably 90% of the 2.5 million outlets that are there in India which are selling jewelry are organized. So I think the terminology of organized and unorganized is a bit misplaced in the industry. However, what you're right about is that there are people who are, let's say, branded multi-city, multi-outlet players at scale, let's say above 50 to 60 outlets. And there are others who may be 1 or 2 outlets in one city, etc. There is, and the multi-city outlets are growing much faster than single city outlets. That is simply the statistic that is there. And I think the reason why that is happening is because consumers today, it starts from consumers actually. If you look at people, they look at jewelry very differently now. So you know, okay, let me make it a bit interesting. I have in Hindustan Lever dealt with lots of categories, right? So I have dealt with detergent, I have dealt with soap, I have dealt with atta, I have dealt with namak, I have dealt with ice cream to some extent, and then right up to beauty products. So whenever I used to go and talk to people and say, people used to say, where do you work? Okay, I work for Hindustan Lever. What do you deal with? And if I said atta, or if I said namak, or if I said beauty product, something used to happen and on. Now, when I go and tell people, they will say, Sandeep, what are you doing nowadays? Oh, I am in the jewelry industry. Suddenly everybody wants to talk to me. Their eyes are lighting up, jewelry. And why? Because, and it's the same person, right? The category, I think, is so emotional in India. There is a love, and this is both for men and women. People love this category. There is an attachment to this category. It is part of our culture. It is a category which has got 100% penetration in India. Every household in India. Yeah, no matter what socio-economic class, no matter which state you are in, no matter which religion you are from, or what is your background, you will have some kind of jewelry which you will have. So it's a very, very interesting category to work in. And people, in a category where people find it interesting, people demand more. If consumers are more demanding, I think then the industry, which includes the retailers, need to serve that demand. I think currently what is happening is, generally speaking, mostly the branded players are able to do that a bit better. Some for reasons of simply capital, that they have more capital so they can put up a better store, they can show more assortment. Some because today consumer demands, because they're moving into different parts of the nation, that I should be able to find my brand in different parts of the country. Some because of that. And some because of the trust that people may have in a larger branded player. So I think for those reasons, those are growing. But at the end of it, I think one trick that the national players, which we found, was missing was, if you ask a person, where do you get the best designs if you go to buy jewelry? People will not take the name of a branded national player. No. They will take the name of their local jeweler. So we always work in a manner where we say, we are a local jeweler. We happen to be national. That's the kind of brand we want to build.
Nice. So one thing that I want to touch upon here is I want to go back to the mindset problem, because the kind of students we have dealt with, the way they talk about it, we see that it's a very owner-centric, owner-driven culture in the organization. and it's becomes challenging after a point of time to scale that model onto multiple stores. And we've in fact seen to that level where, let's say, an owner is busy handling one customer, and they're like, अरे वो अकाउंटेंट खाली बैठा है, उसको थोड़ा वो काउंटर देख लो, सेल्स का काउंटर देख लो. And that is where the main gap is, because that accountant is looking at data, introvert, asked towards that. So this is where I'm coming from. Like, what do you think is missing among these players who are, fundamentally amazing? The kind of designs, the kind of sourcing they do, what they figure out for their customer. Local jewelers is something where even corporate brands are today learning. And in fact, that is how they are becoming the new family jewelers today. So, how can that person think at a scale?
You see, if you look at if you look at the world, it used to be what they say, a manufacturer's world or a seller's world initially, right? So, जो भी आप बनाओगे किसी भी category में, even in India, again, before many of you were born, there were just two cars, Ambassador and Fiat. You just had to choose, या Ambassador खरीद लो या Fiat खरीद लो. वो भी depending on what was available, you just bought it, right? And today you look at the kind of choices you have. So I think we have moved from a manufacturers and sellers world to a consumer-centric world, to a customer-centric world. So unless you delight the customer, you are not going to be able to win loyalty, etc. And to delight the customer in jewelry, like I described, that all your senses are alive. It's not just the design. Now that gold is 60% more expensive than last year, people are wanting a 60% better experience when they go to buy gold, because I'm buying something really expensive. So I expect to get an experience in the outlet, which is going to give me a delight. So I think that investing in consumer experience or customer experience at the retail outlet is very important.
All right. And when you say customer experience, can you give a few examples?
Yeah, I can give many, because you think about it a lot. So my favorite one is as follows. When a consumer decides to buy jewelry, I'll use the example of a lady. She has got a spark in her eyes, and we can see it. When you decide कि हाँ किसी की शादी है, or I want to treat myself, or I want to give a gift, you are so excited when you're going to a jewelry store to buy jewelry. And then you enter the jewelry store. You are still excited, and then you sit down at the counter, and then you start looking at the pieces. You are still excited, and then you've got to make the choice. Should I buy this or should I buy this? Should I pay this making charge or should I buy this making charge? Should I buy it today or should I buy it tomorrow, because gold rate tomorrow may be lower? Yeah. Suddenly the delight has turned to complete tension. Yeah? And you're unable to, which is why we have so many people who will come into our store 5 times before they make a purchase. Yeah. They will visit, look, and they'll come 5 times. 5th time they may buy. I think that creating an environment which brings down that tension, which makes people feel comfortable, is super important. Now, how do we, so just as an example, since you asked for example, how do we do that? So, for example, in an Indriya store, when you visit an Indriya store, in every Indriya store, you will find the same music playing. Same music. And that music we have researched and we have got it curated for ourselves. And that music, we say, is not something that excites you. Is not something that you want to dance to. It is somewhere in the background which is just calming your mind.
It's sorting you.
Yeah, it's just calming you. It's a calming music. It's not a music that you feel like dancing to, right? Second, there will be, when you enter our stores, you will get a certain perfume. You will smell a certain smell. We have actually researched and put that smell again, so that it is something that calms you down. It brings down your tension. Third, and most importantly, all our jewelry consultants, not us, we don't call them salespeople, we call them jewelry consultants. All our jewelry consultants have been trained to tune into the consumer. What does she want? What is the occasion? What do we think her background is? Is she the decision maker or is somebody else? And what is she buying for styling or is she buying for somebody else, etc., etc. So helping her think through the consumer's mind to help to make the decision for the consumer. I think these are some of the experiences which really matter. Another one, a lot of people now come for old gold exchange, right? They bring their old gold and exchange it.
Especially in these prices.
Especially at these prices, right? Now when you go to exchange your old gold in many shops, you'll say, okay, I want to exchange my old gold. And suddenly the gold has disappeared somewhere. किसी कोने में वो melt हो रहा है. You walk into an Indriya store, the place where the gold is being melted is a glass wall. So you can see exactly what is happening to your gold every second if you wish to. So it is to build trust that yes, my gold is being treated in the manner where I will get the right value. So I think one has to think through the lens of the consumer to think through what is the kind of experiences that you want to give.
So since we are in the customer focus right now, I just want to ask, a lot of confusion is there today in terms of the diamond jewelry buying and whether people are buying diamonds at the right price across multiple places depending on where you are. I heard somebody was from Hyderabad, for example. We are seeing very different pricing strategy for Hyderabad, where you're getting the same quality, same say clarity grade and the color grade, but there is no mention of cut. Even in the lab reports, we see that nobody mentions anything about the cut or the light performances. So how does the customer even know about these discrepancies? They are not even aware of a lot of things. And when they compare, they realize that, okay, it was not fair enough. So, and I'm seeing Indriya do that in a very special way. So, is that the new strategy for building trust? What probably Tanish did with gold? Is that the way new brands are going to go?
Yeah, I think first it's important to know that out of the 800 lakh crore market of jewelry that is there in India, there is less than 10% is diamond, since we are talking about diamonds, right? So it's a very small portion of the total market. Not many people are actually buying diamond, they're preferring to buy gold jewelry. Now there are a few reasons for it. Gold is always seen as a better investment, people are tuned into buying gold, etc., etc. But the way people are buying jewelry now is changing. And why is that? Because people are seeing jewelry is feeding into the trend of self-expression and beauty. Beauty is on fire right now as a overall category and trend, etc., across the world. More and more people are looking at jewelry as a way of expressing yourself or expressing your beauty for whatever motivation you have. Now, the moment jewelry becomes that, just like clothes are, by the way, clothes are a way of us expressing who we are. Now, does anybody open their cupboard and have only white shirts or only black shirts or only black dresses or white dresses or whatever, green sarees? No. Because people, when you get into the world of beauty, you want variety. And same way in jewelry, now as it becomes goes more and more towards beauty, people will want variety. And when people want variety, then gold alone will not do. They will want other things also. So diamond jewelry will play a more important role as you go forward. Now, why is diamond different than gold? Again, consumers speak. Consumers say कि जो चमक diamond में आती है, वो चमक gold में नहीं है. उसकी अलग किस्म की चमक है. Diamond की चमक अलग किस्म की है. That's what we like, that it sparkles. So we just simply in Indriya, we took that insight and we said, can we choose diamonds based on their sparkle? Not simply the other C's. So two diamonds, and I'm sure all of you will know this better than me, two diamonds can have the same four C's, but one diamond can sparkle better than the other, depending on how all the forces have come together, including cut. So we are actually choosing diamonds in Indriya based on what we have created as a sparkle choosing method to see that which diamond is sparkling more. And only that we choose. And consumers are now saying that back to us. We come to you, and even when we are getting our diamond jewelry manufactured by other people, we are choosing our own diamonds, which is based on the concept of 4Cs and sparkle. And that's what we're doing. Is this going to be an industry standard, a new thing? I don't know. But you're absolutely right that when you go to buy a diamond, especially small diamonds, they give you a certificate for the third 3Cs, but not the 4th C. And that 4th C which is cut is the one that determines a lot what the sparkle is. So I certainly think that as jewelry goes more towards beauty, the design of the jewelry in general and the sparkle of the diamond will be something that will become even more important.
Taking that a little bit ahead, when a customer is coming to a store of Indriya, what I was reading up, I'm not sure if this is true, but so you refresh designs every 40 to 45 days, typically. This is a little bit different from what the industry is following usually. So are customers coming back that often, or is it something else that you're trying with such a frequent change of designs?
See, what is happening is that, so you're absolutely right. Data shows that the average buying occasion for a person on an average in India is 1. Okay, but again, that's an average. So I'm sure there will be some which are 0.5, which is buying once in 2 years, and some which will be 2, which is buying more than twice in a year. Our concept of refreshing our designs is not simply based on कि वो consumer फिर से आएगा तो they must see something different. Our concept is more also because we think that the beauty industry and fashion sensibilities change. Yeah. Example, if you are in a city like Delhi, let's say, the clothes that you wear in the summer are different from the clothes that you wear in autumn, are different than the clothes that you wear in rain, and are different from the clothes that you wear in winter. And if that is the case, then why should the jewelry designs remain the same across the full year? So you need to put in some designs which are to the sensibility of the season, as an example. So it's more got to do with, we should be refreshing or introducing designs which are needed by the consumer at that particular period of time. When there are weddings, now we know that in India there are wedding dates. So you can almost predict when will be people coming to do wedding shopping. When people are coming to do wedding shopping, I must make sure that I have designs which cater to wedding. And when I know for the next 2 months there are no weddings, why should I have the same inventory in my store? I should have a different kind of inventory in my store. When there is Rakhi, I must have something to do with gifting and Rakhi at that time in the store. But when it is Rakhi's over, then why should I have the same designs in my store? I should keep something different. So the whole concept of refreshing designs comes from there. Not simply because I don't want the same consumer to see the same design again.
Also, that brings me to one thing is seasons, but what we also noticed is you are opening stores across geographical spectrum. Like when Indriya started, you started with a Delhi, an Indore, and Hyderabad. Why are you making your jewelry designers and merchandisers' life so bad? Like culturally so different, and it becomes such a challenge because really different set of design, set of choices, set of culture, everything into one, and you chose to probably open those at the same time. So is it for learning, experimenting? What was the theme behind this?
Yeah. So firstly, we are, as I guess when they got the note, it was 81 stores. We are now 88 stores in 50 cities.
Wow.
So that's where we are. When we opened first, we opened 4 stores on day 1. We opened in actually Indore, Indore, Jaipur, and then 2 stores in Delhi. one on a high street in a market like Rollbag, which is very famous for jewelry, and one inside a mall. And the reason we did that was we said that we've created a brand and we've created a design sensibility and we've created an experience inside the store. We wanted to see that what is the acceptance that it gets in different formats in different cities. And obviously we were very encouraged by the response that we got. And the response was so encouraging that we decided to say that, okay, what we are supposed to do in 10 years, let's see if we can do it in 5, which is why the pace at which we are growing. But you're absolutely right, it's not easy because each city that we go to, or each location that we go to, we want to have the assortment which is right for that location. So when you go to our store, which is in Andheri, it's got a very different kind of assortment there or designs there than when you go to, let's say, Seawoods, in Thane. So it's very different, or Viviana in Thane. So it's very different kinds of jewelry that we try to keep. So maybe approximately 50% will be roughly the same, but certainly there will be around 50% which will have some difference depending on the store you're in. And of course, if the difference is between Hyderabad and Jammu, then the difference will be much more.
Now I just want to touch upon...
So why do we make the life of our merchandisers and our designers difficult? Is because number one, we want to be a local brand which happens to be national. So I would hate it if somebody said, oh yeah, Indriya, I go to that place because it's a national brand. We would love it if people say, I go to Indriya because it has my kind of designs. That's what we want people to say first.
I was just going to say that. A couple of strategy related questions I wanted to ask was, we are seeing certain brands create sub-brands depending on customer personas. Like we are seeing certain brands catering to working women, certain for traditional, certain for lightweight, e-commerce, digital first. Is Indriya planning on anything like this, or are you looking to be the local jeweler across multiple locations?
Yeah, and I think, in any large market, like as large as jewelry or any other market, there is always place to do consumer segmentation and come with different kind of positionings and different kind of brands. Our positioning is, number one, I think very simple. Our positioning is that actually we are a brand for those people who simply love jewelry and who love design. That's how we are positioned. And I think that's a gap in the market because everybody is selling jewelry based on किसी का birthday है तो इतनी warm feeling है चलो उसको gift दे दो etc. Which is also right. But I think in the whole thing jewelry is lost. So we wanted to bring the attention back to the love of jewelry and what jewelry can do for you. Given that, actually, so let's say we are talking about a lady called Meera. Meera is, let's say, 30 years old. She has, let's say, just got married, right? She is working. When Meera goes to work, she wants to wear jewelry. When Meera goes to her friend's wedding, she wants to wear jewelry. When Meera goes to her cousin's wedding, she wants to wear jewelry. It is the same Meera that we are talking about, but she wants different kind of jewelry for different kind of occasion. But she's a person who loves jewelry. So our positioning is based on that mindset. With that mindset and with that kind of positioning, we are finding that we are able to attract people who want to come into our store and buy, let's say, a 20,000 rupee ring, right up to, let's say, a 25 lakh rupee necklace. We are seeing that in our sales because people are seeing us as that kind of brand. Okay, so we think we can encompass all that, but surely there will be opportunities for further segmentation, and we'll constantly explore that. But right now, we are focused on building brand Indriya.
That was very well explained, thank you. One last bit before we open up to a Q&A. So, will Indriya ever get into investment only jewelry, which is the other category of the customer audience, which is buying jewelry only for the purpose of investments. What we are seeing is a lot of traditional larger scale businesses who, like for example, a Malabar or all these brands. So they are using this as a lead generation, and then premiumizing it for certain set of customers, and then taking them ahead in the average order value and the lifetime value. So will Indriya ever do this?
See, I always said that Indriya will follow the consumer, right? And let me tell you, the consumer is nowhere there. If you go to women across the length and breadth of India, and I've been to places like, just to give an example, Hisar, or even a Delhi, or even, of course, Kolkata. But even in small towns, Bhubaneswar, Cuttack, women who come to shop in Indriya, and I guess to other brands also, they are now more curious, they are more empowered to take decisions, and they are coming there for the joy of experiencing and buying jewelry. I don't think they are coming there to say, okay, Aaj, let me buy something which will accumulate wealth for my household. I don't think they are doing that. Yes, when people are thinking of the mindset of gold, I think now there, as an investment, I think there are many other options that exist in India today, like an ETF or whatever. Or then, if you are, then why buy? If you're buying for the purpose of investment, why buy jewelry? Why not just simply buy coins? And we are focused, of course, less on bullion and coins, etc. We are focused more on selling jewelry because that's what the brand stands for and the love of jewelry. Of course, people can come buy from us. They can trust that what we are selling them is good value, and we have schemes where they can come back, return, and get a fair value, etc., all that we do. So, yeah.
All right, thank you so much. We'll just open up to Q&A. Anybody?
Once again, thank you so much, Sandeep, for your time here. Very valuable insights. I must say, I did read somewhere that I think before Indriya started, the team of Indriya spoke to roughly about 4,000 plus customers, and I love the fact that customer first brands work. And to be very honest, like with so I myself have a retail jewelry brand, and when I started off, I did visit roughly about 500-600 stores over the last 3 years. So Indriya was also one of that, but commendable execution for 2 years, 88 stores is amazing. And to be very honest, your Dickinson store in Bangalore, we started a store right 3-4 buildings right next door, and I would, during the construction time, walk across Indriya every time I'd go there. And I think it's roughly about 18,000 plus square feet, and I think in about 35-40 days you guys were up and running and going back, which was incredible. But the doubt that I have, or the question that I have is, at this scale, since you have such a you are a local jeweler, I understand that, but you're still a national jeweler in terms of the number of stores and things like that. And I understand that there's a significant amount of thought put into experience, but at the end of the day, at the conversion factor for a customer when they walk into a store of Indriya, do you think it is the person there that is a game changer in terms of the conversion, or is it the brand? Because from what I've noticed, we have about 6 stores right now. We've hired a lot from existing national jewelers in terms of managers and things like that. None of them bring the ability to actually convert. Because we are not a big brand, right? Like 6 stores in 2 cities is not a big deal, or a customer is probably not going to know them. So I've noticed that the big jeweler, national jeweler people coming in, they're not necessarily able to convert because the brand does a bigger job in conversion as such. I first wanted to know, at this scale, do you think there's any truth to what I'm saying? And secondly, after you reach a certain point, this is not something that you might need to worry about in terms of that person actually making the difference, is something that I want to ask, if I've been articulate enough.
Yeah, sure. What's the name of your brand?
It's called Rhea Diamonds. It's a lab-grown diamond.
Rhea Diamond, okay. I must visit your store next time I'm at Dickinson. So, I think it's a good question. Brand matters a lot to get in a walk-in into your store, because people are looking at a store, thinking about the brand, the imagery that has got created, the trust that it may have, the anticipation that it creates in people's mind, either kis kisam ki jewelry hogi, or what kind of jewelry will be there. So I think the brand helps to pull the person in. I think once the person is in, the designs, the policies, and the experience makes a difference. And as part of the experience is the person who's servicing you. Yeah. So the person who's sitting across the counter is, I think, a big enabler in making the conversion happen. Is it the only enabler? Is she or he the only enabler? No, it's not. But can the conversion happen? Are the chances of conversion happening stronger if the person on the other side of the counter is better? Certainly yes. And is the chances of conversion lower if the person on the opposite side of the counter is not good? Certainly yes. So I think it's a big enabler, which is why we invest a lot in training our people. In fact, we've designed a 2 to 3 week course, which we have created ourselves, which is about training our jewelry consultants. It's like we call turning them from salespeople to jewelry consultants. Where it's a very how do you be consumer centric and help style the person and help understand the person, etc. So if I was in your place, I would certainly pay a lot of huge attention to that.
Right. And a selfish question, what do you think about lab-grown diamonds?
No, sure. It's a question that comes very often.
Sure.
So, firstly, I think what matters is not whether it is a natural diamond or a diamond, lab-grown diamond. What matters most is what the consumer wants. That's all that matters in life. Okay. So, like I said, the diamond is a very small market that is there in India, and I think what is going to happen, in my mind, it's my personal opinion. What I think is what's going to happen is that lab-grown diamonds are going to encourage more people because they will have much lower price points, etc., etc. And people coming into lab-grown diamonds don't have to worry about the tension of investment is not there. You're buying it because you want it, and that's what it is. So more people will come into that style of jewelry. When people enter that style of jewelry and they start liking that style of jewelry, they'll probably upgrade to natural diamonds. Yeah, because that's something more precious, something more beautiful in the mind. It excites more of your senses. So I think that's what probably could happen. People moving from lab-grown diamonds to natural diamonds to lab-grown diamonds may also happen, but frankly speaking, from an industry perspective, it doesn't matter because natural diamonds are anyway too small.
Hello, sir. Hi. So I'd like to, as you told that Indriya is basically, you want it to be known as a local than to be a national according to the mindset, but you have positioned it to be a premium segment is what I feel. I'm talking about myself. So what vision is yours? Are you going to enter into the 9 carat and 14 carat jewelry? Because your jewelry is more of stones and a little more colorful part, and people go to India when they want something exclusive, something which is more designer and all. So, how do you put in, what is your customers you want to, find a niche and just continue with that through India, or what? How is it?
Sure, it's a good question. You see, firstly, I think the terms. So I am very fresh into jewelry industry. Only 2 years. I consider myself. I tell my team, I'm a management trainee. I'm learning, right? So that's the mindset I have. My understanding of the consumer is that 9 carat, 14 carat, 18 carat, 22 carat, 99% of the consumers don't understand. And very few people walk into an outlet thinking कि मुझे कौन से कैरेटेज की ज्वेलरी खरीदनी है. People walk into an outlet thinking, what is the occasion I want to buy it for, and what is the budget that I have, right? And what is the occasion I want to buy it for, and what is the budget that I have? What will delight her or him is a good design. So what matters is design at the right price point, not whether it is 19 carat, 14 carat. So yes, we want to be positioned as a brand that is known for its design. Which is why, for example, we have a very large in-house design team. You may not know this, or many of you probably know this, that many retailers who sell in India, including national retailers, design only approximately 10% of the jewelry that is lying inside the showrooms themselves. The rest of the 90% is designed by the designers, very wonderful designers, which are employed by the large manufacturing base that is there in India. The way we operate is, we have got a large design team. So about 60% of all designs that are there in an Indriya outlet are designed by our design team. 40% is what we pick up. And the reason, and that's difficult to do, that is cost to the company. The reason we do that is because we want to have our own sensibility of the Indriya kind of design, right? So we will always want to be known for that. Now, if that is in your mind positioned as something premium, that's great. Because it's something premium, you will always be willing to pay a little bit more for. But we already sell 9 carat, we're already selling 14 carat, we're already selling 18 carat. It's already there in our showrooms.
Also, sir, would you be...
But we don't sell it as, this is the counter of 9 carat jewelry. We sell it as, these are fantastic designs at these price point.
Okay, price it at those points, that's your showcase.
Yeah.
Also, would you move into tier 2 or tier 3 cities, like how it's tier 2, tier 3?
Yeah, we're already in Gaya, I told you, in Bihar, we're already in Hisar, in Haryana, we're already in Cuttack, in Orissa, we're already in Siliguri, in West Bengal. So yeah, our 88 stores are, we're already in Rajamundry, Hubli, Guntur. So we are spread across India in all kind of tier of towns. And we'll continue to do that. In fact, it's surprising that we are getting a very good response from some of these towns actually. They are loving the freshness that we are bringing into the market.
I think we've seen this. Tier 2, tier 3 cities are really like going towards new brands, fresh brands. It's really seen among a lot of our alumni brands as well.
Yeah, you know, when I go to tier 2 cities and I speak to especially the youngsters, they are so much more curious, and more important than that, they are so much more confident about who they are, and they are so much more in love with their culture. So, you know, it's amazing.
Hi sir, I'm Anup Patadia and I come from manufacturing background. First of all, sir, I have huge respect for the fact that you have worked at Unilever for 30 years. That is an outstanding achievement. So I have 2 simple questions again. First question is, sir, how can a manufacturer such as me build SOPs that help perfectly target the retailers and basically cater to the retail customers or clients?
Okay, so I think it's and I'm basing this again, like I said, I probably know lesser than you in this field, but I will give you my perspective of it. When I speak to many of our vendors, including Sky Gold, you know, they always say that each customer who comes to us, it's very important for them to understand what is the positioning of the brand, and based on the positioning of the brand, what are the quality specs that you have and what are the design specs that you have. So I think for you to understand the final consumer that the brand is trying to serve is super important. So all the good manufacturers, actually, they will call me and they will say, you know what, Sandeep, we have been to 10 of your stores and we want to come and give you feedback on what's going well and what can be better and what we can do to make what you're doing well even better, and what we can do to wherever you're falling, what we can do more for you. I think whenever we get a call like that coming to us, then you yourself, you can imagine, I get so curious and say, yeah, let's meet. Versus some other person who says, I've got many designs and I'll give you a fantastic price, please come and buy from me. So a person who has taken the trouble to understand that what is India trying to do and what are their good points and where can they be better. I think a person who's taken the trouble to do that will always know how they can serve me better. So, or serve the brand better rather, right? So that is what would be my suggestion to you.
Thank you, sir, for that answer. My second question is, how can a company understand what market is best to target at any given point in time?
I think that's really a choice. And I think the choice comes more from what is the market you're not going to target. Because that is very difficult. Unko nahi bechenge, inko bechenge, because you feel, why not to them also? So I think it starts from what is your vision for your company. So example, Indriya's vision is that we want to be one of the top 3 jewelers in India in a very short period of time. So if that is what our vision is, we choose not to be, let's say, only diamond brand. Yeah, we choose not to be only a lab-grown brand because that's our vision. So it all comes from the vision. That what is the vision that you have, and then of course the vision has to be backed by the resources, whether it is financial or people. So we are part of the Aditya Birla Group, so we can have that vision. If we didn't have that access to that kind of capital or those kind of resources, we would have had a different kind of vision. Maybe you would have said, we want to be number 1 in diamond jewelry in Delhi, for example, if we didn't have that kind of vision. So it just depends on that. I think it's very important to sit down and chalk out what is your vision. From the vision comes everything else. If your vision is clear, the clarity that it brings, going back to your point of simplicity and clarity. So it's very simple. हमको first stream में आना है. अभी उसके लिए क्या करना है? We have to do that. So you have to be clear about that. If that is clear, then everything else slowly follows.
I think the Aditya Birla Group has always been clear on this. They don't enter an industry until they know that they will be among the top 3.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Yeah.
So I also have another question. So you are the CEO of Indriya, and sir, I wanted to ask you how important it is to appraise the people that work under you and the people who work with you and for you. How do you personally do that? And what is your mindset when it comes to appraising and looking after your team?
See, the culture that we are trying to build in Indriya is a very different kind of culture. So we say that, for example, I always go to our stores and I say that office in Bombay is not the head office. It is your service center. It is there, the only reason why that office exists is to serve your store. Yeah, otherwise you don't need that office. So we also think of, the way I think of our organization structure, normally people think of the organization structure as a triangle like this. But for me it is inverted. Yeah, so I am, as the CEO, in a mindset, a management trainee, but I am in service of everybody else. On top sits the store. At the bottom sits the head of the service center or the head office, right? So we are serving because we are in service of the consumer. So what matters most is consumer. We are not in service of anybody else. Fortunately for us, Aditya Birla Group also has a similar ethos. So they also encourage us to think in the same way. So my stakeholders within the company rarely make me feel that, Sandeep, you're working for us. They always make me feel you're working for the consumer. What are you going to do next for them?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We just take a last question.
Hello, sir. Just one question, and thank you so much for doing this today. What are your thoughts on the gemstone market and the gemstone jewelry market for the coming 5 years, 10 years? What are your thoughts on that?
When you say, I may ask a stupid question here, so please excuse me for that. When you say gemstones, are you talking about precious gemstones?
Precious.
Not including diamonds?
No diamonds, color stones.
Yeah, okay, precious color stones, yeah. I think it's very interesting. Because it goes to my same thing of that nobody wants only white shirts and nobody wants only black shirts. So I think color stones are going to play an even more important role in jewelry, right? Now, what's going to happen is that the way it is structured right now, the industry is that your colored gemstones come at a certain price, and mostly designs are designed around the type of stone that you find, right? So that's why I think that industry is a bit limited and is servicing only a certain niche level of consumer. But what we are finding is, and that is true even in Indriya, and especially so in the south, that many people are now experimenting and are wanting a gold jewelry with infused color stones. They may be precious or they may be semi-precious. People are willing to even work with, consumers are even willing to work with semi-precious. And I think that is because of the fact that people want different types of jewelry to have for different kind of looks. So I think it's a huge opportunity that is sitting there.
Thank you, sir.
So one last question. Like you said, Indriya has over 88 stores in 50...
88, not over yet.
Okay, 88 stores.
Next weekend it will be over.
So everyone has a different approach and answer to it, but what I wanted to ask you is, what are the 3 main things that Indriya first researches before launching its new store at a certain city or at a certain place?
Okay, so what we do is that we look at, we study the market in terms of what is the size of the market, right? So where is the size of the market more and where is it less? That is one. And the second is that where are our chances of delighting the consumer more or less? Yeah. So for example, right now we have not opened any store in Kerala. Yeah. The market there is huge, but we have not opened it because we think we need to learn much more as a brand before we enter Kerala. So our chances of winning exactly in the way I am right now there, we are not sure. So whenever we are more sure, we will spread more, right? So which is why when we started initially, we launched in different types of markets, Indore, Delhi, Western market, in a way like Jaipur, just to get a sense of, is our brand getting accepted? And based on that learnings, then we are now segregating the market. So we look at the size of the market, and then we look at what are the chances of winning. Also, we don't want to open too many stores in the same city. So we will open a certain X number of stores in the same city to make our presence felt, to get a certain level of consumers to accept us, and only then we'll do more. So, so that's how we go.
If I can.
Naman sir, can I ask one question? Because this will haunt me at night and I have text him on LinkedIn.
Yeah, please.
Hi, Sandeep ji, firstly, this has been really insightful, okay. I'll just keep this very, very short. I don't want to talk about jewelry, I don't want to talk about the industry, but just for you as a leader, okay. I'm learning to lead right now, okay. And I'm going to ask this in 2 parts. One is what kind of KRAs and KPIs are important to you as a leader. So like for example, when Sandeep walks into the office in the morning, what's important for him to know? And the second one is that, do you believe in, like you said, you're a consumer driven company, so your pyramid's upside down. Do you still believe that it's always the CEO calling the shots? Or does that hamper the scalability of a company?
Let me answer the second question first. I certainly don't believe CEO should call all the shots. I think the CEO needs to take responsibility. He or she needs to take responsibility for articulating the vision that is formed by the total company. He or she is responsible for ensuring that you bring clarity to where the company is going and how it is doing, because in that position you see all the functions in a certain manner. And I think it's very important for CEO to set the culture of the organization. You see, when we formed this company, we operated like, of course, it is not a startup because we sit under the cushioning of the Aditya Birla Group, but we wanted to keep the spirit of the startup. In a startup, we know, and this is what the data says, that only 5% of all startups are successful. Yeah, over 95% of them fail. When you look at why are these 5% successful, they are successful because number one, they have a model to scale up, which is practical. they're not zooming too soon, too fast, or they are not going up to a certain stage and they don't know how to go further, right? They have a model to scale up. The second is that they have a path to profitability and they don't run out of cash. The third and the most important is that they have a culture in the organization which works. Yeah, you don't have a toxic culture. We have heard of many startups where the two co-founders themselves have had a fight and the company, great idea, but the company fell through. So the CEO's role to create the right culture in the organization is very, very important in conjunction with the others. So this is in fact even before we created a full strategy. The first thing we did in the first 50, 60 days with the rest of the team was that what is the culture we want to build? What is somebody was saying that culture, I think the question was asked on culture. For me, culture is how do you behave with yourself? What are the promises you're making of behaving with yourself in good times and in bad times? That is the culture. Okay? So what's the culture we are going to create? So I think the CEO's role is very important in orchestrating all this. So that is on the CEO's role. The second question you asked was on what are my KPIs
that you give it?
So I think certainly depending on what phase the organization is, the KPIs will change. So, and it's very important to have both a set of input and a set of output KPIs there. But for me, one of my most important KPIs, no matter which phase of the business is in, that what is the mood meter of the organization? How are people feeling? Are people growing? One of the important things whenever I move jobs is when I look back, I don't only think of, okay, did we grow the business, did we increase profitability, did we increase market share? Of course, those are important KPIs. But one very important KPI for me is, when I joined the business, there were so many people in the team. How many of those people are in a better place today than they were when I joined? Well, and not because of me, but because of the culture that we created, because of the ambition that we created. Are people better placed today than they were before I joined the organization? That gives me the biggest pleasure and the biggest joy.
That's amazing, sir. Thank you so much.
That was a wonderful and very insightful session from you. Thank you so much. I still want to take the last question.
Okay.
Is a very simple one. Since you are also kind of fresh in the industry, just 2 years in the industry, a lot of this cohort is also very fresh into the industry. If you have any book recommendations that you read when you entered this industry, specifically to this industry or something around it?
See, I read 3 books when I got to know I'm joining the Aditya Birla Group and to lead the jewelry industry. The first book that I read was Titan, okay? Because I wanted to learn how one of the biggest brands, how they have created the brand, what are the mistakes they made, what were the good things they did. So I read that book. The second book that I read was of the organization that I was joining, which was the Aditya Birla Group. So there's a book called Aditya Birla, so which talks a bit about the group and what are the values, etc., etc. And the third, I wouldn't call it a book, but I did a lot of reading, was on startups, because I'd never really worked in a startup kind of environment before. So those are the 3 I read. But my favorite book, whenever I change jobs, whenever I'm starting something new, is a book which is a bit of old school, but I think it still works very well. It is a book called The First 90 Days. And it gets you, and I still read that book, meaning in the last 3-4 jobs that I've changed, I still go back and read it. Because it just reminds you that what is the kind of mindset you need to get into as you start something new. So I would certainly recommend First 90 Days as a book that if you're getting into making a fresh start in anything, in professional life, it's for professional life, then it's a good book to read. It's not a very big book, it's a short book, maybe about 100 pages, very light reading, but very insightful.
Thank you so much. This was a wonderful conversation. I'm sure a lot of people got a lot of value from this today. Thank you so much.
Glad that is happening. Thank you.